I think balance is a myth. It is all about intentionality and making good choices every day. And we all get the same 24 hours. If your expectation is to be a CXO of any kind, CIO, CTO, CEO, and you think you can just put in a 7.5 hours, 8 hours a day and never ever think about work and not do all the extra things that you and I do in our community and to build our brand and all of those things, it is just simply not going to happen.
Welcome to our 26th episode of Leading with Relevance. I'd love to say that we're interviewing people that are busting through the status quo, impacting companies and community. Our goal is to interview people on their personal journey, on their professional journey, as Simon Sinek would say, learning about their why. And for listeners, hopefully you'll get some practical insights that you can use on your own leadership pathway. I'm Tino Mantella, Chief Strategy Officer of Relevance, and loving the opportunity to talk to and learn from leaders. You'll find these podcasts on our Leading with Relevance, on our Relevance website, on LinkedIn, and other social media. So today I have the pleasure of interviewing Jay Ferro, a friend of mine. Jay is my third guest in the three-part series featuring CIOs and CTOs that have become presidents and CEOs. Before I bring Jay on to the podcast, here's a bit about him. Jay's currently the President and Technology Chief Product Officer at Envision Pharma. He joined that this year in March. He graduated from the University of Georgia, where he got a bachelor's degree in political science. He also has an MBA from UGA. Prior to joining Envision Pharma Group, he spent 5 years at Clario, where he became the Executive Vice President, Chief Information Technology, and Product Officer there. He helped prepare Clario for acquisition by leading their platform modernization. And before that, where we got to know each other, he's been CIO of AIG and also the American Cancer Society and Quikrete and others. He's served a number of boards, currently sits on Alta. I will get the right pronunciation.
Aleda.
Aleda, and then Catholic Charities, which I was on that board as well, Inspire EDU, the Terry College of Business, UGA, and American Cancer Society, and Priscilla's Promise. He's won many awards, including the 2024 Georgia Large Corporate Orby Award, which is a big deal. I go to that event every year. 2024 UGA Terry College of Business MIS Alumni of the Year, and 2023 ATP Executive Leader of the Year. Jay's frequently described as a leader who integrates technology, product, and business strategy rather than running them as separate entities. He's brought into Envision Pharma specifically to unify product and technology under one mandate. So Jay, finally, you have a lot of background there. So.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy is, Tino, but he sounds great.
Yeah. No, you've done a lot, and we appreciate certainly in the community what you've done. So I always like to start talking about early part of your life because, I know for you, because we've talked about this, it shaped you. So talk a little bit about, what shaped you, maybe a snapshot of your early years and 2 or 3 people that influenced you.
Yeah, of course. Look, we're nothing without mentors and the people who influence us for better or for worse. You always hear the stat that, you tend to take on I guess the characteristics of the people that you spend the most time with. And I'm lucky. I grew up in a small town in Indiana outside of Chicago, and hardworking family. My mom and dad were great, and my dad is. I didn't know what the term was at the time, but he was kind of embodied what a servant leader is and does, and had no idea what that meant back then, as a kid. But I saw the way that he carried himself. So, early on, I was very lucky to have a role model like him as a senior corporate leader, and just watching him and picking a lot up through osmosis. And then certainly the second category would be some of the amazing bosses I've had over the years, early in my career. Some one or two that you would know here in town, the late great Ed Steinecke from
Right.
Coca-Cola. Ed was a mentor of mine, a number of others who gave me a chance over the years when maybe I didn't have the mileage quite yet. And they saw something in me and challenged me, called me out when I needed to be called out. So guys at like AIG, like Mike Long,
Yeah.
others during my career. My most recent boss at Clario, Chris Fickery, was terrific to work for. Joe Easer, who I worked for at Earthlink, Rackspace, and Clario, my first CEO there. Terrific leader, good man, and I'm always grateful for leaders like that. Um, and the common thread that runs through them is, they trust you. They call you out. They're transparent. You never feel like you're a subordinate. You always feel like you're a colleague, but you obviously know who the boss is. But they look at you and challenge you to get better, and sometimes believe in you when you don't believe in yourself, and you have a little bit of that imposter syndrome. And then thirdly would be, probably my children. Certainly my late wife Priscilla, and the way that she navigated her cancer journey when up until when she passed in '07. But I just watching my boys grow up into the good young men that they are. They continue to inspire me even today. My middle one, James, popped by yesterday, made my day just after a dentist appointment, and they walk in the door, and it's still like he's 25 years old, and but just watching Trey, James, and Brian um, grow into just fine young men, and the way they've navigated their lives, losing their mom at 9, 6, and 3. Um, is inspiring.
Yeah.
And of course, your children make you want to be a better man as well. And then, last but certainly not least, is my wife Crystal, who um, is I call her Turbo Crystal because she just is a machine when it comes to work and everything else. And she keeps me on the straight and narrow. So she's continues to inspire me.
Yeah, I've got to meet all your boys, I think,
Yeah,
through
you have.
various tech events and all, and they're all great kids. And
Thank you.
I know
Thanks.
they admire you, and most of them are they all in kind of tech
Two
related
of the
as
three, yeah, two of the
two or
three are
three?
in tech.
Yeah,
My middle one is works for an MSP here in town, and my youngest works for Truist. And yeah, they got bitten by the bug. Whether they
yeah,
stay in it long term, who knows? But
right. Who knows
it's been
anymore?
a great first part of their career. And my
Yeah,
oldest is in the promotion space and is killing it. And so, really proud, but more proud of the young men that they've become, and the
yeah,
choices that they make every day and the way they treat people. It's luckily you've heard me say this, but
yeah.
they inherited way more of their mother than me.
I have heard you say that. And part of that, I'm sure we'll talk about your Italian
Yeah.
heritage, but because we're so
Yeah.
proud of that. But yeah, that
We are proud of that.
we so going through high school, and I think you were
Yeah.
involved with sports and
Yep.
different activities. What brought you to? I mean, when you started your career, your first degree wasn't really tech related. So
It wasn't, no,
yeah,
it's maybe I'm an accidental CIO or CTO or leader, but it's and I don't think I appreciated this at the time, Tino, because I lived in a small town with one high school, and you
yeah,
really had no choice where you went. And but we had a little bit of everything. So, you got to play sports and sing, plays, clubs, and you really got a chance to get involved in a lot of different things. But one of the things that I gravitated toward was a computer science club, and this is the late '80s. And so, I mean, you were learning how to program BASIC or assembler, or
yeah,
the end days of, not that it's still not around, because it still is and still important, but Fortran, I think, or COBOL rather, was I think, one of the languages of the time,
yeah.
and still very important for some legacy systems. But I learned how a little bit of that, and I kind of got bitten by that bug, but I never thought about doing it for a living. I was going to be a lawyer, hence the political science degree. And um, but I'd always kept up my tech chops, I guess, for lack of a better
Yeah.
word. And when I got out of Georgia, it was the dawn of the internet, and you could just say the letters IT together and get a job in technology. It was a pretty fun time. You remember it well, I know.
Yeah.
And you would leave the office, and there'd be recruiters in the parking lot of a building going, "Hey,
Right.
would you like a job?" And you're like, "Man, it's nice to be wanted." But
Yeah.
yeah, I needed money. Honestly, it was I didn't want to go to school broke and law school, and I wanted to take my girlfriend, who became my wife, Priscilla, out. And so I just got a job doing technical support, and honestly, just fell in love with technology and what it does. I enjoyed geeking out with it. I enjoyed the hands-on nature of it for a while. It was just a fun time to be in technology when the internet was such a wild west. And so, yeah, I got my MCSE, MCSD, and all of those things back in the 90s, and then quickly realized, Tino, that I was better at leading it than doing it, and and maybe building world-class teams than
Yeah.
actually sitting behind a screen all day.
Yeah. Yeah. And you certainly will talk about that in terms of your role now and how you've kind of gravitated to that. But I did have to smile when you talked about, one school and small and doing everything in the
Yeah.
school. So I had a similar experience with like 170 in my graduating class, which I guess wasn't the smallest, but you know, you had to be
Yeah,
on the
that was
teams.
well, you don't appreciate it until you
Yeah.
leave and see some of the specialization that some kids do, and they don't get a chance to get exposed to a
Yeah.
lot. And I think one thing even a poli sci degree taught me that's relevant is that nothing gets done without understanding people and power. And that's a big part of the job once you get into the senior executive ranks. And often in political science, you're talking about organization, people, power, movements, that
Yeah.
type of thing. So it actually became quite relevant as I navigated my career.
Yeah, so I did want to because your wife that passed, and
Yeah.
unfortunately never got to meet her. But it seems like at least in your after Earthlink and some of the things you've done, going into American Cancer Society, and now even into things related more to science, is there a connection there in terms of the path that you've taken?
Yeah, it's a great question. So ACS for sure.
Yeah,
I was with AIG at the time, and I got a call from Korn Ferry and a recruiter who is, a friend of mine, but now I didn't know. I knew who they were at the time, but
yeah,
he called and he knew I was in the market for maybe something different, and he said, "Jay, I got a great role for you," and this was 2011, and I think you're perfect for it.
yeah,
Great big role, transformation, blah blah blah, all the things technically that you would want back then. Um, and then he told me who it was, that it was the American Cancer Society headquartered in Atlanta, and I just kind of knew that it was
yeah. It's
a
almost
good.
fate.
It
Sounds
was
like.
fate.
Yeah,
I felt like a little bit of a divine providence there, and
yeah,
so it was a blessing. Two of the best CIOs in town, actually, I worked for me there. Sean Hunt at
yeah,
McKinney's, and Ashok Vantapalli, who I know you know both of them
yeah.
very
Both of them.
well.
Yeah,
And I hired both of them at ACS, and we just had an all-star team. And the transformation we led was just so fun. But to your point, we saw the impact and what
yeah,
ACS represented in the market. So that passion and that calling, I think was fun. Later in my career, certainly at Clario in the clinical trial
yeah,
space, and now at Envision Pharma Group, still in the drug development space, but post-market launch and commercialization and all of
yeah,
these things. Yeah, there's a thread of a mission
yeah,
that I think motivates you and inspires you because the work that we do is very, very relevant in the world. No pun intended, but it's
yeah,
it's you feel a little bit of a higher calling because we're doing really important work, and there are a lot of people depending on us to get drugs safely to market. And so yeah, it's not lost on me that
yeah.
I truly enjoy mission-based organizations.
Yeah, it's a great connection. I think when we talk about ACS too, I used to run the Arthritis Foundation, as you know, and I
Yep.
think people don't realize that these are real businesses with major decisions, with thousands of employees
Oh,
that
yeah.
are making an impact. It's ACS was over $1 billion when you were there, I know, in terms
Yep.
of
Revenue,
revenue
yeah, and
yeah,
income. But it's you want to tick me off, not that you would, but you want to tick me off, belittle nonprofit experience. Now, again, I'm not talking about a small nonprofit with
yeah,
10 people. Yeah, you can't really compare that to a for-profit organization. But when you talk about the Arthritis Foundation or ACS or,
yeah,
St.
Children's
Jude
Hospital
or
or St.
American
Jude's, yeah,
Heart, Habitat, these are very big corporations who happen to have nonprofit status. And all the things that you do every day in a for-profit organization are the same. I mean, you're still revenue. We may call it income, but it's revenue. You still have a profit, but your profit goes toward the mission of the organization and
yeah,
serving people. So it all the forces of digital transformation, AI, all the things that we do as CIOs, CTOs, and heads of technology or whatever we do applied, right? It was
yeah,
not
for
any
sure.
different at all.
Yeah,
And so I've had recruiters actually say to me, well, we got to find a way to characterize that nonprofit experience of yours. And I'm
yeah,
like, I would just get really angry
yeah,
because I'm like, that's your job. And
yeah,
don't be stupid because honestly, working for a large nonprofit there's a degree of difficulty that you have that for-profits don't even have.
yeah, for sure.
And yeah, you're right, 100%.
Yeah, that's well said. So, as you know, that you're part of a three-part series with our
Yep.
friends John Trainer and Sean Kramer. I read a recent study was done by Deloitte, and they said 67% of CIOs and CTOs would like
Yeah.
to be CEOs and presidents. Now, you and I were talking offline here that, not all of them maybe are well positioned to do that, but it's aspirational for some, and you three are really good examples. So let's start out by just talking about, what's the same and what's different in terms of,
Yeah.
taking on this new role.
Yeah. I think if you approach the role of the CIO the right way, there are some common threads that you will take with you in any other kind of senior role.
Yeah,
As you know, I've also been chief customer officer, head of
right.
product, and a number of other things too. But the common threads are you're in the business of outcomes, not activity. And
Yeah,
that is even more relevant when you're a president or a CEO. You're still translating between people who will never use the same vocabulary, and you still live and die in trust. So there's still the common threads of leadership. The differences are big though. The level of accountability as a CIO, you own quite a bit of the how things get done, right? Certainly, you're driving the why and the what. You're a voice at the table, but as a president or a CEO, you own whether or not the bet was right at all, and there's no more one upstream from you to absorb that. The kind of the buck stops with you.
right.
And that accountability is not for everybody. I happen to love that part of it. Maybe I'm a bit of a thrill seeker. I don't know, but I enjoy the accountability along with the certainly the authority and the ability to get it done. But the level of accountability is different. The authority is certainly different. You get more authority, and you're tempted to use it as a president or a CEO. The reality is, and I know you're a servant leader, Tino, and I know you are a big believer in that mindset. The best move, even as a president or CEO, and I know Trainer and Kramer feel the same way, is that with great power comes great responsibility. Not to get all
Yeah,
Spider-Man on everybody, but the best move is to usually use less of your authority, not more.
that's a
It
good point.
tends to be a blunt instrument. And the second you pull rank on people, um, you've kind of told them that you couldn't win, or you couldn't make the decision on the merits of the decision. So, those things are very different. And I think if you're a positional authority guy, or person, that's not going to set you up well. I think you have to be very, very good at leading through influence and convening, pushing down authority. Certainly the buck stops with you, and you're going to have to make the call when it comes crunch time. But I have found that the more you push that authority down and look people in the eye and tell them you trust them, and then, yeah, of course, you're going to have to split the baby. And of course, you're going to have to make decisions at the top that are at your pay grade. But when you surround yourself with amazing people and empower them, it makes the job a lot more straightforward.
Yeah, that's well said. I just got back from a 3-day event in Las Vegas, Infotech conference. I don't know if you've ever been, but it's no surprise to you. 3 days they talked all about AI, and one of
Yeah,
the things that just resonated with me, what you said and what they said, is that AI is a tool,
it is.
and people are looking for business outcomes. So you hit that squarely with your comment there, and I know you've, in any role, product, technology, whatever you've done, you've kind of looked at it from a business perspective. Maybe some advice to the people listening in terms of how to approach that, because everybody's AI crazy right now.
Yeah, and I think you're beginning to see a pretty important shift in the use of AI. And I think in 2022, it was, oh my gosh, what is it? Is it the end times? What do I
Yeah.
do? My boss says I need some AI. And so all you saw was .ai, or the AI in a name was highlighted or whatever. And you still see that all over the place. You go to a vendor floor at a conference, I'm sure every single booth,
Yeah.
no matter what they did, had some AI component. And it makes sense. We saw that with cloud. We certainly saw that with the internet,
Yeah.
which I think is a more comparable kind of foundational change. I think with AI though, it's all like anything. It's all about outcomes, and it's all about value. So that's the shift you're seeing is CEOs are not going, we need AI. They're going, all right, we have it. Are we getting the value from it? And
Right.
are we really applying it toward things that are adding value, either customer experience, cost, efficiency, effectiveness. Is it allowing us to penetrate or differentiate a market in a market that we couldn't before? Quality. Certainly, Clario is all about quality, speed, and privacy and safety. Leveraging AI for that, and very similar at Envision Pharma Group, where we're leaning in very, very hard to AI, but it's really in the construct of efficiency, speed, safety, privacy, all of those things, not just about AI for AI's sake.
It's like,
You know, but I don't think you can understate what a fundamental shift AI is. I think,
yeah.
like I said, the closest thing that we've seen in our careers is, the 1994, the dawn of the internet as we know it.
Yeah, yeah, that's well said. So, shifting gears a little bit, but back to Envision, was
Yeah.
created, as I read, that bring product. One of your goals is to bring product and technology under one mandate. What drove
Yep.
that decision, and how's the shift changed the way the organization operates?
Yeah, we did it at Clario too, and
Okay.
I think often, because I ran product at Clario and we had some really, really good outcomes. I don't know that it's for every company, but certainly in a tech-enabled services organization, it makes really, really good sense. When product and technology are separate, there's naturally a handoff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and every handoff is a place where intention leaks out, blame starts to gather. Um, you build exactly what was specified, and you still miss what the customer needed because there's just kind of natural breaks. I think putting them in one organization under one mandate, really with one ass to kick, I guess, or one throat to choke, one person owns the whole arc for what is the problem we're solving? Is it worth solving? And then all the way to did it actually land, and are we getting are we getting the results that we expect? So it eliminates the old school throwing requirements across the wall.
Yeah.
Um, I think operationally, it changes the questions we ask. We don't start with what should we build? We start with what outcome are we accountable for? And I'm already beginning to see a real shift in my team at Envision, even though it's not even been 90 days, where we're having outcome discussions. And even as a technology group, we're really focused on the why and the what of what we're doing versus, well, I talked to the business and they gave me a requirement, therefore I'm blindly going to build it and not even really question the need. I just don't think that is a great way to approach technology, really, in most companies today. I think you're deploying capital, there's a limited amount of it. And why wouldn't you? If you're taking your own personal money, you're putting it in areas where you think give you the most return,
Right.
right? You're not throwing it under your mattress. You're not throwing it. You're like, okay, if I have $100 to save, I have to put it where I want the most return. Same thing with a company. You have to deploy capital. Why in the heck would you not deploy it with a product mindset versus just this, well, time to make the donuts mindset of, we hand off a product and hope it lands, but we don't really know.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a bit more powerful. It's kind of like a restaurant when the chef and the person taking the order are the same brain. Um, that you stop making beautiful food that nobody wants. You're like, hey,
Right.
look at the chef is in there making crap that, is like, oh my gosh, it's gorgeous and they're gonna love this and look at all the flavors, but nobody actually wants it. And I think now we've linked the chef and the person taking the order with the customer.
So, I have a couple roles that I'm playing outside of
Yeah.
relevance. So, in my executive search side, we've placed some chief product officers and related. Um, so, your philosophy would be, well, let me ask you the question: Who do you feel like a chief product officer, if there is one, should report to? Should report to the CIO or the president or some other position?
Oh, the chief product officer. I
Yeah,
think well, I report to the CEO. So,
yeah,
for me, and I did at Clario too, I
yeah,
think if it's just chief product and that is what you do,
yeah.
it probably depends on the business. I mean, if
Okay,
it's a pure tech play, then maybe the chief technology officer or even vice versa. Um, but I have P&L responsibility for a couple of one of our business units. And so I own everything from, business development to commercial
right.
and delivery. And so it makes sense where I report.
Yeah, you can coordinate all that. Makes
I
sense.
can coordinate all
Yeah,
of that. And
yeah,
so, look, I'm always going to say reporting to the CEO is the best move for any
yeah,
aspirational CXO.
yeah. Okay,
Um, yeah.
yeah. So, a lot of times, certainly I have a lot of experience with this. Missteps or failures can be more impactful than a steady ride. Uh, what do you think about that? And do you have any experience to share in that space what you've learned from? Because a lot of times people feel like, we hear now fail fast and all, but what's your thoughts about that?
Well, I think I'll look at it two different ways. One, personal missteps, and God bless, I make so many mistakes every day. Whether it's just in the way that you handled a situation, the way that you responded to something, maybe you just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and it could be something as simple as you're short with somebody, or you jump to a conclusion based on limited information, and sometimes you have to do that, especially in a private equity owned organization, that you have to make decisions quickly. But then you also have to know that you might be wrong about whatever it is. You have to forgive yourself, move on, and learn from it, and kind of add that to the muscle memory and the pattern
Yeah,
recognition that will make you a better leader. Most mistakes, unless you do something stupid, like egregiously stupid, are not fatal. And so I think forgiving yourself as a leader and not letting it cripple you is super important. As a leader, looking at your team, you have to create a safe space. You and I hear this all the time that,
Yeah.
hey, you even just said it, fail fast, and hey, we
Mhm.
want to create an environment where failure is okay.
Yeah.
I think everybody says that.
Right.
I think operationalizing it
A little harder.
is different. Yeah, because you're going to see people make mistakes that you see coming, and you're like, how the heck did you not see that that was not going to work? With decision X, or why wouldn't you have done it this way? You have to let people grow. Now, you don't want to get into a situation where people are repeating mistakes, but you really want to avoid a culture where people are getting shot for a first offense and run out of the organization. I think you need to give them a chance to see what it's like to work for somebody who says, it's okay, I'm going to help you up, we're going to learn from that, but here's what I need you to do, and I need you to remember that, and let's not do our best not to repeat the mistake. And that amplifies a team fairly quickly when they realize that they are allowed to raise their hand or point something out, or they saw somebody make a mistake and they weren't terminated immediately or blackballed from the organization or
Yeah.
suddenly not invited to the leadership team meeting anymore. Um, I think that opens up people's minds and it opens up their collaboration, and you end up getting a much higher quality culture.
Yeah. So when I ran TAG, we started a data governance society, and I
Yeah.
wasn't sure at the time, like, is this a good group to start? And now at this conference that I attended, and you're talking about AI, it seems like with AI governance has become, central or the next thing, and you're hearing it nationally, globally, that is it running wild or but you've said, you've emphasized that governance can accelerate innovation rather than slow it down.
I
What's your
agree.
thoughts about that?
I do. I believe good, appropriate, right-sized governance. It gives you a North Star, and it gives you um, kind of a playbook for how to get things done. Let me give you a concrete example. So at the dawn of modern AI, although you and I both know AI has been around for a long, long time, but generative AI, so we'll call it 2022 at Clario, we were already doing some pretty cool things with machine learning and deep
Yeah.
learning. And so we leaned in pretty hard to the new kind of generative craze, and with a partnership with my general counsel, Lauren Mishtal, my chief medical officer, Todd Rudo, and a number of others, certainly my CISO, Mortazan Nisar, who you know here in
Yeah.
town. We created an AI governance council, not just a bunch of talking heads yapping at each other, but putting in real structure from a legal, science, quality, security point of view so that we could attack this really from all angles for multiple reasons. One, we wanted positioning on how we approached AI. We wanted to make bold statements about responsible use for our customers. Now, it is easy as a technologist to hear all of this and go, "Ooh, that sounds like a lot of work. Sounds like a lot of yapping and hand waving." I will tell you that because we convened people early, non-technologists got educated very,
Yeah.
very quickly early on. We were able to make decisions on new models, how we use data, how we communicated with our customers, how we applied new technology to our products much faster than if we had to reinvent the wheel every single time and re-educate and go, oh gosh, here comes IT again with another AI ask. Um, they come to us once a year or twice a year. Having the framework and the repeatability in place sped things up. And what we ended up with was not only higher quality products, higher velocity of delivery, but more trust from our customers because we were able to show them very transparently
Yeah.
how we leveraged AI, and that we took responsible use and governance very, very seriously. So that's I think, a really important example of how governance can speed things up. Another more recent example is like go-to-market strategy. I walked into, Envision, and like many private equity companies, we're a company of companies, and so you have a little bit of different flavors of the way things are run. So we're unifying the way that we look at something as kind of basic as a go-to-market framework. This is how we take products to market. And it actually speed things up when everybody understands the rules of engagement and what they need to do. You're not making it up every time. There's no surprises. There's no, you bring executives in, they're like, this looks like nothing I've ever seen before, so I got to wrap my head around this because you're doing it different than him. So there's a little bit of elbow grease and investment at the beginning because you've got to kind of set the framework and get people on board. But the real benefit is once you kind of get over that initial hump of investment, it speeds things up.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, that sounds like a real nugget for people to take back because your point is governance doesn't come at the end of something; it comes at the beginning of something. It's going to be a
well,
lot
people make
more.
the mistake with security and government
Yeah,
governance and quality all the time, don't they? With
yeah,
QA, you go build something and at the end, right before you go live or turn it
right,
on or
100%.
whatever, somebody's like, hey, did anybody do a security scan on this damn thing?
Right.
And they're like, all of a sudden it lights up like a Christmas tree and
Yeah,
and everybody's like, we're gonna have to push our go live out 90 days. Uh, and
yeah.
we know now that, checking security along the way and doing secure development along the way is the right way to do things. So that little bit of governance and process improvement pays huge dividends.
So, lightning round. I have two more questions because we're running
Yeah,
out of
man,
time.
let's
And
do it.
yeah, so this one is I'm particularly interested in asking you this question because I know for raising three boys, off and on your own, uh, and uh, and then having big jobs and also being out there in the community. So, what's your philosophy? Because you always hear about you know, family life business
Yeah.
balance, that kind of work life balance. What's your thinking about that for advice for young people listening in here?
Yeah, I don't know. I think balance is a myth.
Yeah,
I think anybody, I learned that early in my career. I had to. When Priscilla passed in '07, you have three young boys looking at you and you've got to kind of make the call then and there that you're
yeah,
you're all in on making sure these boys are happy, healthy, and safe and have just
yeah,
the best childhood that they can have. And that requires you to make sacrifice. But that's no different. You don't have to lose somebody in order to kind of learn that lesson.
yeah.
Um, it is all about intentionality and making good choices every day. And we all get the same 24 hours. And I tell people all the time, they say, Jay, how do you do it all? I said, I'm very, very selective about what I do, but I prioritize sleep, I prioritize the gym, I prioritize time with my boys or my wife, and then I prioritize my work time and make sure that I maximize, the 9 or 10 hours a day that I actually put in. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a lot more, but.
Right.
And then the community. I mean, maybe that means I don't stay the entire time. Maybe that means I only go to one event versus three. So I just tend to be a little bit more targeted. What I try to tell young people, though, Tino, and I know this is lightning round, so I'll make this brief, is that if your expectation is to be a CXO of any kind,
Yeah.
CIO, CTO, CEO, and you think you can just put in a 7.5 hours, 8 hours a day and never ever think about work and not do all the extra things that you and I do in
Yeah.
the community and to build our brand and all of those things, it is just simply not going to happen. Like
Doesn't work.
you may be the most talented, amazing person, and you may even be right that it shouldn't matter because you're bringing value to the table when you are working. Maybe in a grand scheme of things, it shouldn't matter, but it does matter. So deal with reality and recognize that you're going to be compared as you navigate your career to somebody who is willing, who's as good as you, but is willing to make the sacrifice for their career. That might mean a little less sleep. That might mean you miss, and these are not easy choices, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you might miss a dinner at home with the kids one time or a week
Yeah.
or whatever because you need to stay late or go to an event. Those are tough choices, and it's the people who are willing to sacrifice and manage that every single day. I think I find more often than not are the ones who succeed, and the ones that plateau are the ones who are like, no, I'll find that CXO, CEO, president job, and it's just my 40 hours a week, and that's it, or that's going to do it. I'm like, unless your dad runs the company, that just often
Yeah,
just
that might
it's
help.
just not
Yeah.
not even the case. I just
Yeah.
don't see that happening.
Well, the other piece that you'd probably agree to is people kind of look at some people look at life and work is drudgery and life is good and they're just working. So, I think the thought is, enjoy your work. If you're not
I love
enjoying
what
your
I do.
work,
You do.
yeah,
I can tell.
yeah,
Tino, you've
yeah,
always loved what you do. When
absolutely.
you were with Tag, when you and I first met a lifetime
Yeah.
ago, we were kids.
Yeah. When we were
Um,
boys. Yeah.
yeah, we were young men at the time, but you could always tell that you loved what you did.
Yeah.
And
It's important.
so
At
there's a
work.
great quote that
Yeah.
says, happiness is fidelity to a worthy purpose.
Yeah. I love that.
And
Yeah.
I love what I do. I know you
Yeah.
love what you do, and
Yeah.
and so it makes it fun.
So I think what this is a good place to wrap because my last question was going to be one piece of advice regarding relevant leadership, but I think we just kind of nailed
We
that
just
in
covered
terms
that,
of,
I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Jay, I really appreciate you and everything you've done for the community and the impact you've had certainly on not just locally but nationally, maybe globally. So thanks for what you do. I look forward to seeing you outside of this podcast soon, and appreciate you joining me on Leading with Relevance.
Tino, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate your friendship and uh, your collaboration over the years. You're a gem in the Atlanta community. You know that. You're too humble a guy
Thank you.
to acknowledge that, and I'll say it. I love me some Tino, so I appreciate you having me.
All right. Thanks, buddy.